All right, everyone. Welcome to the Pilot Partner online demo and training webinar. It's right at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock East Coast time. And if you're on the West Coast, well, double check your own watch. Counting backwards by 2 is a little tough. Tonight, we hope to give you a good introduction into Pilot Partner. I'll try not to bore you with too many of my bad jokes. But with this introduction to Pilot Partner, I want you to see the basic features that we have, what you can do with it, and how Pilot Partner can help you. The video feed that you're watching is anywhere between 1 minute and 5 minutes delayed, depending upon how YouTube wants to stream it to you. We encourage you to use the chat feature of YouTube to ask questions. We do have 2 moderators reading all the questions, and will get the questions to me, and we will attempt to answer every single question that we can. I do encourage you to ask your questions early. The earlier you ask the question, we can get it into the queue for us to answer, and we'll make sure we get to it. Even if you think we might cover your question later in the broadcast, go ahead and ask it. It's a lot easier for us to kind of go over it real quickly again if needed, or otherwise we might miss your question. So with that, let's get into the presentation. So tonight's agenda, we're going to give you a little bit about Pilot Partner. We're going to show you a demo on how to sign up for Pilot Partner. We're going to cover logging your first flight and some other activities on the add flight screen that we will find very useful. We'll start diving into an overview on how the different flight totals and flight currencies work. And then we're going to talk a lot about the pilot blogging system, which is a unique thing that Pilot Partner has, where we're going to integrate with social media for you. So as you're logging your flights, let's go ahead and make a blog post out that and share it with Facebook, Twitter, and all those other great social media platforms. And at the end, we will reserve some time for question and answers. So we will talk about anything that you bring up. And again, we want to use the chat feature in your YouTube screen. That chat feature will get the question to us. The other thing I want to mention is time is running out on our early adopters program. Through the end of August, we're offering what is basically a 50% discount. The normal price for Pilot Partner is $29.95 a year. It's a subscription-based service. Until the end of August, for our early adopter friends and everybody who's on board, we're offering 2 years at $29.95. So this is basically a 50% discount. And this is good for anybody who has currently signed on to Pilot Partner. No matter how long your subscription is currently good for, you can add an additional 2 years to whatever you have now by choosing the early adopters program. When you first sign up for Pilot Partner, you'll receive a 90-day free trial, and you can use that risk-free. We won't even ask for a credit card number to get started. But you must renew your subscription by the end of August to get this discount. When you renew, you will not lose any of that 90 days, so there's no penalty for renewing early. We will simply add 2 years to your 90-day free trial. So you'll actually end up getting about 27 months for the price of $29.95. So there's no reason not to renew early. And renewing really helps us as we get this product started, and we really appreciate your support on that. And again, the address is pilotpartner.net. Just type that into your browser. You can use your computer, your iPhone, iPad, go to pilotpartner.net and sign up today. So about Pilot Partner. Pilot Partner actually started back in 1997. Back in 1997, I showed up at a flight school and decided I wanted to learn to fly. I was a brand new software developer back then, and I thought there had to be a better way to log my flights than pen and paper. So I opened up my programming language. At that time, it was Visual Basic, either 4.0 or 5.0. And I started writing my own little database to log my flights. I had no intention of actually selling it or doing anything with it until I showed it to my flight instructor, Carl Limberg. He was my primary flight instructor. And he looked at it and said, you know, this is pretty good. If you put a little bit more effort into it, you could take this and sell it. So I did. A couple of years later, I had sold about 2,000, 2,500 copies of Pilot Partner 2.0 at that time. And I earned enough money that I covered all the expenses I paid to get my private pilot's license. So it was pretty exciting. Pilot Partner 2.0 ran for about 4 to 5 years, and it slowly fizzled out. And really, I hadn't looked at it for the last 10 to 12 years. About a year to 2 years ago, I got together with some of my friends, and we decided to reboot Pilot Partner and bring what you see now to you. So who are we? Well, my name is Ken Viard. I'm a private pilot, single-engine land, multi-engine land with an instrument rating. My buddy Dave Allen, many people know Dave Allen. He's a very popular person in the social media arena with the different podcasts that he works on. He's part of Other People's Airplanes, Fly OPA. His Twitter handle is also Dave Flies. Dave Allen and I went to high school together. He was actually with me on my very first flight as a private pilot, where we loaded the Cessna 172 up, flew down to Okeechobee Airport, where I proceeded to gain my currency on a single landing as I bounced down the runway as my first flight as a private pilot, and that was way back in October of 1997. Dave Allen and I have been flying together ever since. Dave Allen is our director of marketing, so his job is to get us visible. Most of you are here because of the work that Dave Allen has done, and so we're very proud of the visibility that we've been getting from Dave. Jacob Rodriguez is he's an aspiring pilot. He's been a friend of mine for the last 6, 7, 8 years. And this all started because he and I started talking one day, and he said, you know, I want to learn how to program. So I was like, you know what? I want to make a pilot log software again, so let's do it together, and I'll teach you how to program as we get going. Everything worked out extremely well with that plan, except for we still haven't gotten around to teaching them how to program yet. But Jacob is making sure that all of our business aspects are taken care of, all the paperwork is filed correctly, and is just a great resource to handle all the little things that we got to do to make Pilot Partner a success. So that's who we are, and here's a picture of the three of us, Dave Allen on the left, myself in the middle, and Jacob on the right. And that was at Oshkosh this year, not too long ago, where we kind of had our release party for Pilot Partner. So Pilot Partner is available on every device you have. It is a web-based software, so you do need internet access, but it is designed to run on your PC, Mac, iPhone, or iPad. We figure most pilots have a iDevice of some sort, thanks to our friends at ForeFlight, but it also works on any Android device as well. Some helpful items that I want you guys to know about Pilot Partner is there is a 90-day free trial, and it's completely risk-free. We do not ask for your credit card to try us out for 90 days. If you don't like us, I apologize. Please let us know what's going on, and we'll work to make it better. But we will never charge your credit card because you forgot to cancel. So there's no risk. Please sign up, try it, kick the tires, and see if you like it. Pilot Partner will remember your login. So we use a very long login remember system, so that once you log in once on your phone or your computer, you should never have to remember to log in again. And it will automatically skip the home page for you. So if you try to go back to our brochure site that we'll show you in a second, If you've already logged in, it tries to skip it for you. So it saves you some clicks, but if you ever want to go back to it, there is a way to do it without logging out. It does work on your computer, phone, and tablet, as we just mentioned, but it does require internet access. Working on a offline solution like an iPhone and iPad app is something that we have in our backlog in our roadmap. I don't know when we're going to get to it. It's just a time and money issue. But as Pilot Partner becomes more and more successful, a iPhone app is something that we're going to be looking at. There is a export feature that is available, and the important thing about the export feature is the data that you put into Pilot Partner is your data. It is not ours. We store it in the cloud on servers that we maintain and pay. But if you choose not to renew your subscription with Pilot Partner because it's not something that you want to do anymore, maybe you stop flying, you can come back to us and export your logbook in a CSV format at any time. So once your subscription expires, you'll have access to two pieces of functionality. The one that I hope you click, which is renew your subscription, but the other one is to export your logbook. And all your data is stored securely in the cloud. We are a Microsoft technology shop, so it's all in Microsoft Azure, stored in the Azure data centers. So security, redundancy, all that is built into Pilot Partner. So with that, let's get into the Pilot Partner demo. So with the Pilot Partner demo, we're going to start at our homepage. I highly recommend spending some time learning about Pilot Partner by looking at all the great material that we've put together, pricing, structures, specials, some of the different features. But the important ones you have up top are to log in or to sign up. So when it comes time to sign up, click the sign up button, and it will take you to the Pilot Partner register page. Where you will see a standard sign up screen where you will simply fill out your information. And you will fill out the rest of your information, password. The important thing I want you to pay attention to when you sign up is tell us a little bit about yourself. What this feature down here does is will enable certain flight totals and certain flight currencies. So if you do not fly multi-engine aircraft, it does not make sense to add those at this time. You can always add these later, and we'll show you how to do that. But right now, these are the simple categories that we've added. We'll be adding more categories as time goes on to handle helicopter pilots, glider pilots, flight instructors, and it will just set up your logbook from the beginning in a better way. What I'm going to do is log into our demo account that I've already created. And once you log into Pilot Partner for the first time, this is the main screen that you'll see. This is your flight dashboard. You got a little recent flight information off to the left, currency alerts in the center, flight totals on the right. To add your first flight, Pilot Partner is ready for you to take your first flight already. Click the Add New Flight button here or in the left nav, and it'll take you to our Add New Flight screen. We will select the date of the flight. We will type in the tail number, November 31969er. And when we leave this screen, it's going to recognize, hey, I've never used November 31969er. Would you like to add it now? Of course I would. This takes us to the Add New Flight, Add New Aircraft wizard, And what this does is we have imported the FAA database of aircraft registrations so that we can default a lot of important things for you. We can pull up the owner information of this aircraft. This aircraft happens to be owned by the flying club that I belong to here in Austin, Texas. And it knows it is a Piper PA-28181, a Piper Archer. It is an airplane category, single engine land class, serial number. And then down here are your aircraft properties that you can choose to select. And we're going to talk a little bit more detail about how Pilot Partner calculates totals for everything. But your aircraft properties, if it was a complex aircraft, you would just simply want to turn it on. If it was a high performance aircraft, you would just turn that on. If it's none of those, leave them blank and click Add Aircraft. Once you've done that, put in your total time, 1.2 hours. These top four fields, date, aircraft, total time, and route of flight, are all required fields. Route of flight, you can do this in multiple ways, but the easiest way is airport identifier. I flew from Austin to Georgetown to Taylor and back to Austin in 1.2 hours. Did one landing and 2 touch and goes. That's going to be important for our daytime currency. And over here is our flight categories. I'm going to check off that I did pilot and command. I did not fly with a flight instructor. If I did, I would get credit for turning it on here. It was not cross country because it was not long enough. And I had a friend in the airplane, so it is not solo. And then I can come down here and simply tally in any additional information that I did. If I flew some simulated instrument time, I can plug it in by either up and down arrows or typing it. There's some shortcuts over here. This button will zero out. This button will give me full credit for my total flight time. So if I choose that it's 1.3 hours instead of 1.2, now that button will give me 1.3 hours of simulated time. If I did any approaches down here, so if I'm flying some simulated approaches, I can get credit for any approaches that I did just by ticking them off here. So if I shot 1 VOR, 1 GPS approach, and 1 ILS approach, you also have holds and intercept and tracking. This is items that are important to meet the FAA definition of IFR currency. Now, again, this is how Pilot Partner is set up out of the box. You can customize this in any way you want, including saying, I'm not going to track, intercept, and tracking separately, and just remove that from the system. And Pilot Partner will allow you to do that. Our notes is what's equivalent to the remarks field in your paper logbook. Safety pilot David Allen, even though he's not a licensed pilot yet, but he will be one day. Practice IFR. And then we click Save. Next, we go to our flight summary screen, where it is just a read-only view of everything that we just did, including this nice little map and a calculation that we actually flew 68.4 nautical miles if you did straight line flying. You also have the ability to attach images to your flight. So any flight that, any pictures that you took on that flight, attach them here. Also, any pictures that you have of logbook endorsements, signatures, it's a great place to store them here because it will be stored in our safe cloud. Let me find my pictures folder real quick. One too many folders going on at one time. And we attach our flying picture here. And there's our image attached. If we wanted to enable our flight blog, we would do it here, but we will cover that later. So there's our first flight in Pilot Partner. And now you'll notice that all of our totals and our flight currency automatically updated. So one of our first questions that we've gotten on the chat so far is, how do you handle flight simulators? Well, there are a couple different ways to handle flight simulators. The preferred way to handle a flight simulator is, first of all, you will want to ensure that under your Configure tab, under Aircraft Properties, you see right now our aircraft properties are Complex, Glass, High Performance, and Simulator. If you can add custom properties by hitting this plus button, and maybe if you wanted to track advanced training device as separate from simulator, you could, or you can just classify it under the simulator tab here. So how does this work when we log a flight? Well, I do a lot of time down at Redbird Skyport here in San Marcos. So I have to create an aircraft in Pilot Partner that represents a simulator. And I just type in a tail number like that, and it says I want to add this aircraft. Yes, I do. And it's going to come through here and say, you know what? I can't find that anywhere in the FAA database. Yeah, I understand. So let's go ahead and attach this to a 172, which is usually what my Redbird simulators model after. And I can either select advanced training device or simulator, or if I want to track both, I can. It's up to you. And then add the aircraft type in here. So once I've done that, I put in where I flew for my practice in the simulator. And I log this pretty much like I would any other flight. And maybe I practiced a hold, and I practiced some intercepting and tracking, and I click Save. Now what you'll notice over here is this did not give me any totals for simulator time. You get to custom control the totals that you want to see, and you do that over here at Flight Totals. And over here at Flight Totals, this is our screen that we have to manage your totals. The one bonus group you get down here is a total for each tail number that you've flown. But you can either create a new group, so I created a new group called Simulator Totals, and then inside that group, I can create my own custom total. So in this case, I want to choose aircraft property. I'm going to choose simulator. And here is where I get to name it. So if I want to do my sim time, and what do you want to total? You can either total your total flight time or the count of flights. So if you wanted to know I have flown a simulator 20 times, you would choose this. If you want to know that you had 35 hours in simulators, you would choose that. You can also apply a filter on each total. So if you want to know only the time you've flown in a simulator where you shot a ILS approach, it would give you the number of hours you've flown where you had an ILS approach. I'm going to choose not to do that at this point and just simply save this without adding that filter. And now that 1 hour that I logged in that sim is automatically totaled. And when I go back to my dashboard, it doesn't show by default because unfortunately I got a bug in the system. There's a checkbox that you can click on that will tell it whether you want this category to show on the front page or not. So we're going to get that resolved here shortly. The challenges of a live demo. But this does show you how you can create any custom totals you want, and you will be able to view your totals and only the totals that you want to see on this screen, and see a more exhaustive list of totals over here on this screen. So now, before we go back and add some more flights, let me check our questions that we have real quick. We got a couple questions about is the edit aircraft feature not working? And if I added a multi-engine, it only counted it as a single engine aircraft. I'm going to save that towards the end because that might take a few moments of me researching what's going on. But if there is a bug in the system, we will get that resolved for everybody. The other thing that we have on our homepage here is this will show us all of our flights that we have done in our, it will go up to 10 flights. If you click this arrow over here, we will start showing some graphs of flight time and breaking it out by type and all that good stuff there. So it's some nice little analytics that you get out of the box, and we're going to be adding more reporting as time goes on. Let's talk about flight currency for a moment. You know, flight currency is one of the primary reasons why you use an electronic logbook, because it does all the math for you and you always know where you stand. So single engine day passengers currently shows that we're at 70 days current. Single engine night passengers, we've never qualified for any night flying, and we've never qualified for any IFR currency. If you click this little information icon, the information icon will then show you a list of flights that are being used to qualify you for this currency. So if you look at this, on August 1st, we flew 1.3 hours, and this tail number did one touch and go. We did one landing and 2 touch and goes for a total of our 3. That makes us current. And it will calculate how many days we have remaining, the date we earn this currency, and the date that it expires. So that's flight currency. Coming into our IFR currency, you'll see here that the system is trying to make us IFR current. Now, what are the rules to be IFR current? You need to have 6 approaches in the previous 6 calendar months. You need to have 1 hold and 1 intercept and tracking. Those are the definitions of making yourself IFR current. In reality, no pilot that I know tracks intercept and tracking independently of the approaches, because the common theory is if you did an approach, you intercepted and tracked a navigational aid. But by the letter of the law, by default, Pilot Partner has you track that separately, because that is how the FARs are written. So we are missing 1 approach to be current. So if I come up and log a new flight, well, let's say I'm going backwards in time here. So let's go back to July, and let's choose a different aircraft, 8035 Gulf. And let's choose 1.5 hours. And let's say I flew AQO to back to Austin. Pilot and command time is a requirement for it to count. If I did this dual only, I would not get credit, because the flight currency has a filter for pilot and command time. Pilot and command time turned on will give me credit for my instrument approach. Let's make this a night flight. We flew all of it at all 1.5 hours at night. We shot one ILS approach. We saved the flight. So now we've got our flight. We've got our nice little graph of where we flew. And you notice that our instrument currency is now green. And again, here it will show us all of the flights that qualify us to be current in this instrument approach. Nighttime, we now have credit for one full stop landing. If you were to log a night touch and go, by default, Pilot Partner would not count that towards your night currency in accordance with the FAA regulations. But if I were to come here and choose, let's say I did one lap around the pattern and I did it down near the beach, because we all like the beach at night. I did one lap around the pattern and I did 2 night landings. I would now be night current. Again, if I did 2 night touch and goes or any day landings, it would not count towards my night currency. I'm going to back up the date a little bit. Let's say that's all I did to get night current was my remark, and I click Save Flights. Now I have my calculation for all of my currencies, and now that I'm in the green, I can see I'm night current until October 4th, 2015. So that's the basics of how Pilot Partner works and what you're going to be doing most often. You can always come back in and edit your flight. So if you made a mistake, I can say, no, I actually did one touch and go at night. When I click Save, you'll notice that that now disqualifies me from my night currency. So there's my night currency. If I go back to my dashboard here, figure out why Google Maps is, there's all the places that I have flown to in my last 10 flights. So a nice little map there. And some nice little analytics. In July, I flew for an hour and a half, and I flew for just under 3 hours in August. And here's my breakdown by type. Go to your flight totals, and you can see the details of all your totals, including time in each tail number. Now, a common thing that you may want to have is time in type. So let's create a custom total for a time in type. So aircraft type. How much time have I had in a PA 28, Piper PA 28 181, Archer time. Click Save, and now I have 1.8 hours total time in a Archer. Another common thing that we have is, great, I want to take advantage of Pilot Partner and I want to take advantage of logging my flights electronically, but I've got 20 years of flying and pages and pages and pages of logbooks. What can I do? Now, some people have their data already in an electronic format. And the good news is we will have an import routine here in the next week or two that will allow you to import your flights electronically. But even if you don't have a electronic record of everything, you can get started with minimal effort. And the way to do that under flight totals is carry-in totals. What carry-in totals will allow you to do is to basically pad all your numbers with the totals that you already have in your logbook. Our main recommendation when you first start Pilot Partner is to log all of the flights that will make you current. So anything that makes you night current, day current, instrument current, log those flights and just go backward in your logbook. And I would log all of the flights on that page. So once you have determined which page in your logbook you're going to start logging with, it might be one page, it might be 2 pages. Hopefully it's not more than 2 pages, because then maybe you're not doing enough instrument flying to stay current. Use the totals at the bottom of your page to simply say, I had 525.3 hours before this page started. I know that I had 412 flights. I know that I had 489.3 hours. And this will automatically save as you type each one of those in. And when you go back to your dashboard, it will automatically calculate those hours in. So you got to do a little bit of thinking. You can also go ahead and just enter your totals that you have now and just start logging all future flights, and eventually you'll earn your currency back. So as you do your 3-day land-ins and your 3-night land-ins, it will automatically calculate your currencies. So the carry-in flight total feature is a very helpful item that you can use to kind of get a quick start with Pilot Partner. My personal logbook, I've got 17 years of flying that I need to still enter. I've only entered about 3 to 4 pages of my own logbook in the system myself. And I need to, as I enter more, I go back and I edit my carry-in totals. So as I enter an old page, I come in and reduce my carry-in totals. And all I do is look at the bottom of my logbook and to see what my total for that page was, to figure out what that total is. And it will adjust my hours accordingly over here. So that is flight totals. Let's take a look at a few more advanced flight totals that you can create. For example, maybe you want to create a flight total for flight conditions. All right, before we go into flight totals in more detail, let me explain these categories to you. Pilot Partner works off of 2 different types of ways to track time: flight categories and flight conditions. A flight category is an item that either happens on all of your flight or none of your flight. Things like pilot and command, dual, solo, instruction given, those are things that happen on the entire flight or it doesn't happen. So every time you check that off, you get credit for your total time. Flight conditions are things that happen for part of your flight or not. So like nighttime, I took off during the day for a 1-hour flight. Sunset happened. The second half of my flight is nighttime. So I had a 1-hour total time and 0.5-hour nighttime. IMC, hood time, those are all good items of flight conditions because they happen for part of the flight. Another kind of flight condition are things like approaches and land-ins. So if we go to our configure tab and we go to flight conditions, we can actually create any category that we want. So a land-in is a counter. You count. I did 3 of them this flight. I did 5 of them this flight. Flight time is time tracked. So if I did a 1-hour flight, it does not allow me to have more night time than my total time. So for example, if I wanted to create my own custom category of, let's say, what's a good custom category that we would want to track? time on. Let's say I'm doing some aerobatic flight, and I want to know inverted time. So I want to track how many hours I've flown inverted. I can do that. So now I have this flight time counter there. Maybe I want a counter that allows me to do, and let's create a new group for this. Let's call this aerobatic. And this is all in honor of Dave Allen, because he got to do some aerobatic flying, which definitely made me jealous. Order by. I was hoping to move this. I thought I had a way that you could move this from one category to another, but I guess I haven't. But let's come up here and say loops. I'm going to make this a counter. This way, I'm going to track how many loops I've done and how many hours I have flying inverted. Now, when I go add a new flight, I have my aerobatic category here and my inverted here. So if I flew 0.7 hours out of Austin, I did six loops and 0.2 hours of inverted time, I can now track that in my logbook. So those are some good examples of custom flight conditions and categories that you can do. The other thing you can do is if you don't fly approaches very often, you can close this and get this out of your way. So maybe all you really care about is land-ins under normal conditions, so you can close those and hide them. We have these other FAA categories that are here, such as add as flight instructor, BFR, your instrument proficiency check, which, by the way, if you do any flight and you have this check, it will count as your now instrument current. So what are some other examples of flight categories that we can add? I'm going to make a new custom group. And maybe I just want to know flights with Dave. I just want to know how many flights I have with Dave Allen. So now when I go and add a new flight, I have this option to say all of this time is with Dave Allen. When I create a flight total for flights with Dave, I can do this under flight category, flights with Dave. I can either tell how many total hours I had with Dave in the airplane or how many flights I had. So I took David flying with me 3 times, or David has flown with me for 1.4 hours. I can also apply a filter to this. So let's go with flight condition. And let's say I'm going to choose where did my nighttime go? Nighttime. So by adding this filter here, now I'm going to have the number of hours I've flown with Dave Allen in the airplane at night. This may not be the best example in the world, but start thinking about how you can filter your flight totals. The most common filter that you're going to use is as pilot in command. So how many hours do I have in this specific type as pilot in command? That's a filter that you're going to use quite regularly. So that is some more advanced details on flight totals. The other real detailed flight total that you can use is if you do something like flight category. Let's say I want to know cross country. Let's say let's do flight condition. I want to do actual instrument time. You can get a few different options here when you use flight conditions. One thing you can actually use is total time minus flight condition time. This becomes important when you are talking about nighttime. The whole reason this category exists is to calculate daytime. Since no pilot actually logs the number of hours of day flight, the definition of day flight is total time minus nighttime. By setting it this way, I will get daytime. So if I want daytime as pilot in command, this is how I would set Pilot Partner up to tell me how many daytime hours I have as pilot in command. All right, before I go into flight currencies, please ask questions. I know I'm giving a lot of information about Pilot Partner. As you can see, Pilot Partner is very customizable. You can make it do anything that you want it to do. It's all on how you set it up. So ask your questions, and I will do my best to answer them. Currencies. There are two types of currencies that you can do. And again, currencies work the same way, where you can create your custom groups. You can come here and control the order of your groups. So if I want this group to be first, this group to be second, and this is important because only your first group will show by default down here. So let's make that a 3. And you notice the first group shows here. But all of your flight currencies will show on the front page if they are expired. So now we click to add a new currency. You can add two types of currencies, standard currency item or a custom date. Custom date is something like medical. My medical is good for 5 years. Yes, I'm under 40 years old. And I got my medical in 2013. I click save. It will calculate that I have 1,000 days left on my medical, and I'm good until August 20th, 2018. If you notice, that's not using the correct definition, because if you use calendar months, that will use what the FAA uses instead of years or months. But if you want a little safety margin, just use years and 5, and that'll give you a little early heads up on when your medical is due. Standard currency items are the things like single engine day, single engine night, and IFR. So let's say we want to set up multi-engine. There will be a wizard that will do a lot of these common ones automatically for you. But I want to do multi-engine day passenger. This is set by 90 days according to the FAA. I'm going to add a new filter, and my filter is going to be on flight category, and it is going to be on pilot in command, because I have to be pilot in command to earn currency. And what can make me current? Well, a day landing. If I have, so day landing / night. So if I can get 3, I need to get 3 or more of day landings, day touch and goes, night landing, night touch and goes. Any one of those will qualify for my multi-engine currency. Except for I needed to add one more filter. So I needed to add one more filter to filter out the multi-engine land type. I would have done that right here. So not only did it have to be pilot and command time, it also had to have aircraft class multi-engine land. And I think this is the answer to the question that was asked earlier, where the total was not crediting correctly. The default total was probably incorrect, and we'll look at that. One cool thing that you can do is if you come back to your flight totals, you can always hit this refresh button here. And what this will do with this nice warning message is get rid of anything custom that you did and apply new totals to it. And it will calculate it all up for you. So when I fix that bug, if you go in and refresh your totals, you'll get that fix in your totals automatically for you. All right, so now that we only got about 10 minutes left, I want to cover the pilot blog software. So how does blogging work? Well, what our goal is, and let me show you a example of our blog. Hopefully people have seen this. This is my personal blog that I did when we flew up to Oshkosh. And we get to control our nice little homepage here, upload images, and then these are actually flights in our logbook. And if I click on any one of these flights, I can blog the details about this flight, all my details, attach my pictures, the nice little F-35 that we landed next to in Oshkosh. And all the details of the flight are automatically included. Now, things that we have done is integrated Facebook into this, so I can share it to my Facebook page this easily. And go check out our Facebook page later and see how we've shared this flight that simply on our blog. We've also integrated Facebook comments on here, so you get comments for free on here. So how do you enable the blog on your system? Well, if you come up to your user up here, you will see that you can go to My Account. Under the My Account page, if you go to your public page setup here, you can turn on well, my subscription is now expired. Allow me to log out into a real one. So this is now my real logbook. If I go to public page here, once you turn on this public page, it will give you the link to your blog right there. So you can click on it. That's that home page that showed up on the blog. You also will have a link right there to your blog if you ever forget about it. You can control your titles for your blog here and here. These are all different titles that play different roles, and if you change this is what will show up in Facebook when you share it on the little preview. If you go out and get your own Google Analytics account, which I highly recommend, you can plug your tracking code in here and actually get statistics on who's visited your blog. And then down here, you have the block where you can type in your intro page. Once you have turned this on, when you go to your logbook and you go pull up any flight, let's pull up, actually I want to pull up this flight here. This is the flight that we did our trip on. You can choose, do you want to publicly share this flight or not? So even though I've turned my blog on, I can say, hey, this is not a flight I want to blog. I just went up and shot my 3 touch and goes to get my currencies. I'm not going to blog about this. But no, this is from Dubuque, Iowa to Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I'm absolutely blogging about this flight. And what this allows you to do is to come in here and actually type in your blog information and use the headings and so forth. So if you do hello there and want this to be a smaller heading, you can go ahead and use the wizard to do things like that. I want this bold and underlined, it will do it for you. So that's the heart of the blog system. The other cool thing you can do is you can attach pictures to your flight. And any picture that you put in your flight, you can use this icon here, and the pictures I uploaded will be attached there. So let me go back and find a flight where I did have pictures attached. I believe it was this flight. So here's 3 pictures I took on this flight. And if I want to insert one of those pictures into my blog, I click on it. I do recommend setting like 450 pixels wide. It makes it look a little bit better. And now that picture that I included on my flight is now included in my blog that simply. Uploading pictures worked very well on the iPhone. So what I usually do is use my iPad or iPhone to create my flight, and then I'll go back with my iPhone and upload the pictures real easily. So then I typically do my blogging when I sit down at home when I have a real keyboard. It's kind of difficult to write a nice novel while sitting with your thumbs on the iPad. So that is the high-level view of how to use Pilot Partner. Last thing I do want to show you is where do you go to renew your subscription? Obviously, this is one item that I hope everybody will click on. When you go to the My Account page, go to Renew Subscription, and under Renew Subscription, you can choose the Early Adopters Program, 24 months for $29.95. Buy it now. This is the first time we'll ask you for your credit card information. We use a third-party provider called Stripe for credit card payments. The great thing about your credit card number is your credit card number never goes to our servers. We do not know your credit card number. It goes straight to Skype's credit card servers. They handle all PCI compliant security issues, and that keeps everything nice and safe so that there's no chance that we will accidentally compromise your credit card number because we do not store it. But once you click here, you will have your subscription extended. And again, it's very helpful for us to, as we're just launching this software, to get our core group of users to join us and sign up. Every little bit helps as we start this process. We are very, very pro customer. We love our customers, and one of the things that we do is this feature request list. This feature request list shows you all the features that people are wanting. Like import flight data is a very important one. And you can see the comments associated with it. Users on the 90-day free trial can see this list, can comment on this list, but they cannot vote. Once you are a paying member, you get 5 votes that you can apply on any feature that you want. You click on it, add a vote, and it helps move specific features up the list. As soon as we complete this feature and mark it as complete, you will get your votes back to apply on the next thing that's on the list that you care about. And we invite all paying members to add the features that you feel are important to yourself. So please come here, add your features. This helps us decide what we need to work on next. You know, whether it's things that aren't as smooth as they need to be, put a feature request in, let us work on it. The random feature, like our whole blog system started because one of our beta users said, I want to share my flights on Facebook. So we started thinking about it, and we took that feature request and we made our blog feature. So that is a very important feature. The other thing we have here is export your logbook. If you click export your logbook, it gives you a little information about it. Click download. And here is your logbook exported. All the data that's in there. The only thing you don't get to export are your pictures and your blog entries. Those are the pilot partner value add. But your logbook, everything that makes up, every piece of data that makes up your logbook is here. You will be able to download this even if your subscription is expired, as we were talking about earlier. You can also control, if you want us to stop spamming you, you can turn off specific emails, and our automatic email system will no longer send you emails. You can also change email addresses and passwords here. We have a password forgot feature, so if you're trying to log in, you forgot your password, it will email you a reminder. So those are the things that we have with Pilot Partner right now. It is actively being developed. Every day we're getting a little bit better, and we're going to keep working on this to add new features. We've got some exciting new features that are coming soon. So you know, keep checking back with us and keep participating. Your feedback is extremely valuable. If you have any problems, support@pilotpartner.net. Send us an email. We will log a ticket. We will get back with you quickly. Customer service is extremely important to us. So quick response times, friendly people helping you, myself, Dave Allen, Jacob. We will work with you to resolve whatever problems that you're having. I just got a message that one of our viewers just purchased a subscription. So thank you very much for doing that. Every little bit helps. So I'm kind of talking slowly right now, just checking to see if any more questions come through. As you type your question on the notepad, Jacob and David are relaying it to me so I can answer it. This video will remain in our training video section. Next to that feature request log that you saw right here is a link to training videos. Training videos, we're going to be adding more and more here. So if you forgot anything that happened here tonight, you can come back and watch all hour of this seminar, or watch these short little 5-minute videos that walk you through specific items. So with that, we are pretty much out of time. I thank everybody for joining us tonight. Really appreciate everyone's support. Like I said, this is just a small little grassroots effort to start something new, and within a year, this is going to be the most popular logbook software in the market. One way or another, we've got a great group of people. Dave Allen and Jacob are tremendously helpful in helping me. Of course, my job, I write all the code and kind of make this happen. So with that, thank you very much. I do want to do one last thing to make Dave Allen happy. Just one last thing. We got to show the intro video one more time. Have a great night, everyone, and we'll see you online.